Hello and welcome back, teacher friends. I am Nina Rodriguez, and you are watching Misfit to Teach, where I talk about all things teaching and how to stay mentally, physically, and emotionally fit to teach. If I do not already know you, please hit the subscribe button below, as well as all the notification items that they have here on YouTube, so that you and I can come together every week to talk about all kinds of fun and interesting teacher topics. So recently I asked the question, what is the most common reason that guardians and parents would give for their students' lackluster performance or just lack of performance in class? What is something that maybe you as a veteran teacher have heard quite often, or maybe as a new teacher in student teaching, what's something, if anything, that you've heard quite a bit? And one of the most common responses I've got, and of course there are variations to this, but generally speaking, it's that the student is not doing well because the teacher is not helping. I think for many, if not most people, and parents are the same way, having to take accountability for poor outcomes is just not an ideal solution. And a lot of times, we're not trying to have bad things happen. We don't want that our students are not doing well. And if we have to be in the hot seat or answer for those things, that sucks, because our intentions may be the exact opposite. So a lot of times in the past, when I've heard the teachers aren't helping, parental strategy of explaining away their students' performance or their students' behaviors, there are some things that I try to keep in my arsenal that I wanted to talk about today. For one thing, as a teacher, as an educator, I think we are coming into a time where we've been in a time for a while now where grace is the winning recipe of the day. And what I mean by that is you always want to be prepared in this day and age with these types of students, with Gen Z as they're leaving our classrooms, and Gen Alpha as they're pouring into our classrooms over the next few years. Grace and flexibility, both in terms of the way you're giving assignments, the due date on those assignments, and then the product that students are able to submit for grading is going to be very important. We know now more than ever there's glaring evidence that tells us the students' strengths are all over the gamut. Some of them are more inclined to art. Some of them are kinesthetic and have to be up and moving. Others, you can sit them with a pen and paper and they'll write a beautiful essay for you. Others still are project-based learners. They have to get their hands dirty. They have to be producing something that is emblematic of whatever you're learning in class. Because this is the case with our students in this day and age, I think teachers are well served to have a couple different options for the product that students can turn in for grading purposes. That is to say, does it have to be an essay, or can it be a couple paragraphs? Does it have to be typed, or can it be handwritten? Does it have to be a worksheet, or can it be a diagram? Does it have to be images, or can it be a PowerPoint presentation? There's a lot of different ways that we can do learning, that we can show learning and mastery of the material. So I think you would be well served when parents try to call you to the carpet for not helping, to show them all the different ways that you allow their students to demonstrate success. Also with that, the due dates have become a sort of a fluid concept, I think, and maybe it's always been that way. We generally understand that things are due at specific times, and this is an important element in adulthood. But for our kids, and I know that school districts, we're starting to see this more and more, where you have to be a little bit more open in your due dates and your grading processes. If something was due, it was given on Monday and it was due by Friday, what is the grace period that you're willing to allow in that's sort of a buffer against students' individual circumstances in and out of your classroom. Make sure before parents are asking you what you're doing to help their child, that you are being relatively flexible with your due dates while still getting everything in on time for the report card, for their semester grades, towards graduation, etc. And also something else that I like to do that serves me pretty well is just flexibility in the environment. I can't tell you how many times students, and it's not because of their rapport or lack of rapport with me, some kids just feel better leaving your classroom to get stuff done. Allow them to go sit in the library, if at all possible. If they have a teacher that they prefer and it's easier for them to sit in the back of that classroom while doing the work, so long as they're not missing your lesson, that's a great way to give just appropriate leeway to help them be at their best. And stay in communication as much as possible with a parent or guardian if they have genuine concern or question as far as how much you may be helping their child. If they feel like not enough is being done, you want to be able to show them evidence to the contrary. And when you can reassure parents and you can get them to buy in, then everybody wins. Suddenly we turn the attention back and the accountability back onto the student and the parent, and arguably that's where it should always be. So in the question, what are you doing to help my student? I want you to think about that today. Like if you're going into your first year of teaching, or if you're a veteran teacher and we're in second semester, gotta start thinking about wrapping up this school year here in the next few months. It's gonna go by quick. What are we doing to help our students? And in turn, what are we doing to help ourselves? It's frustrating when we're called to the carpet. I know how that feels. It's frustrating when we are questioned, and we live in a society that it's so easy to pick on teachers. It's so easy to accuse us of not being there, not being helpful, when everything, all the evidence speaks to the contrary. So make sure before you go any further with your school year, before you enter your first school year, that you have concrete things in place, even if it's 2 or 3 policies and procedures in place, to where you can prove that you are doing everything you can to be here for these students without becoming a martyr. So the question for this week is, what are you doing to help your students? Are you flexible with your grades? Are you flexible with due dates? Are you flexible with the product that students are allowed to turn in for grade submission? What do you do that you find works really well in your class, that you can say you are helping your students, Miss Smith, Mr. Johnson? Thanks so much for tuning in, and remember, do all you can to stay fit to teach. Be well.